لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله جود علينا الله لا إله إلا الله جود علينا
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending peace, salutations and blessings upon the best of creation, the jewel and crown of creation, the beloved of Allah Almighty, the coolness to our eyes, the purpose of our lives, the reviver of our hearts, the inspirer to our minds, the awakener of our souls, the most honored one, the most praised one, the most generous one, the most kind one. Undoubtedly, He is the most beautiful one. None other than Sayyiduna wa Nabiyyuna Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. الذين آمنوا, and those who believe, وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ, and their hearts are satisfied through the remembrance of Allah. Tatma'in is from the word itminan. Itminan means contentment, satisfaction. Allah Almighty is telling us those who believe, those who have Iman, that's one group of people. And those very same group of people, تَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ, they are the ones whose hearts, the qulub, are content through the remembrance of Allah. Their hearts are content through the remembrance of Allah, that they will only receive itminan in their hearts, fi qulubihim bidhikrillah, through the remembrance of Allah Almighty. Allah Almighty immediately after then said, Allah. The Arabic language, Allah is used. Allah means what? It's tambih. It's like Allah is warning us, Allah is telling us, listen very carefully. Allah, take heed. What I'm about to say is very important. And this is a key ingredient. This is a key component in order for us to be satisfied, to be content in our life, to have itminan in our hearts. Ala bidhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Bidhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Only through the remembrance of Allah, only through Allah Almighty dhikr, hearts will be content. Your heart will never receive sukoon and itminan, contentment, except through the remembrance of Allah. Bidhikrillah. Grammatically, bidhikrillahi appears before tatma'innul qulub. Yani tatma'innul qulub comes after, bidhikrillah comes first. And in grammar, Arabic grammar, normally, what is the zarf? For example, if in English I was to explain this point, Zaid went to the shop. Who went to the shop? Zaid. Where did he go? To the shop. So to the shop is mentioned at the end. Going, Zaid is going. Going is the verb, it's the doing action. In Arabic, you normally have the verb, the subject, object, and then where it's passed on to. But if in the Arabic language, in grammar, to the shop comes first. To the shop Zaid went. Yani to the shop came first in the Arabic sentence, and Zaid went came second. Not Zaid went came first and to the shop came second. Flip it around. In the Arabic language, there's a rule, there's a qanoon, that if it's flipped around, the verb comes after, and to the shop, the zarf or what's being used here comes first. This will give the meaning of exclusivity, hasr. Meaning only. Yani Zaid went to the shop, he could have also gone to the takeaway. He could have gone to the toilet. There's options. But in the Arabic language, if it's to the shop, Zaid went. Then in the Arabic language, Arabic grammar commands this rule that he only went to the shop. Zaid only went to the shop. Once you've understood this example in English grammar and how it's explained, here Allah Almighty has said, "Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub." He didn't say, "Ala tatma'innul qulub bi dhikrillah." We would assume that bi dhikrillah would be at the end. But because Allah Almighty has put bi dhikrillah, the remembrance of Allah first, tatma'innul qulub second, Allah Almighty is telling us that the only way your hearts will be content, the only way your hearts will be satisfied, the only way that your hearts will achieve sukoon is through Allah Almighty's dhikr, through the dhikrullah. Without the remembrance of Allah Almighty, you cannot have sukoon in your hearts. And if we was to look at the state of people today, illa masha Allah, so many young people, so many people in the mid-30s, mid-40s, in their 50s, they are ghafil of dhikrullah. They are heedless. They don't remember Allah Almighty as much as they should remember Allah. They only remember Allah when they're in difficulty, when times are hard, when things are not right, when du'as you feel and assume are not being accepted, when you're stuck in a musibah, in a problem, in a test, Allah is testing you, at that moment, ke jaldi Allah na zikr karo. Zikr karsan shayad sade masle hal ho jasan. I'll remember Allah Almighty and my issues will all disappear. Foran khatam sharif karao, Imam sahab nu bulao, sadqa diyo, e musibat tali jaye. Of course, Allah Almighty has said this is the nature of the human being. When the human being is in difficulty, da'ana, he makes dua to us. When he is easy, he forgets us. This is the nature of humans. That when humans are in problem and difficulty, they turn to find help. If he's ill, he goes to the doctor. Car breaks down, he goes to the mechanic. He's got a legal issue, he goes to a solicitor. Yani we turn to someone for help all the time. Who greater to turn to help than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who can help you better than Allah Almighty? Allah said in the Quran, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. Only you we worship, and only you we seek isti'ana, aun. We seek help. This doesn't mean that you can't ask anyone else for help. This doesn't mean that you can't ask a doctor for help, you can't ask a lawyer for help, a solicitor for help, you can't ask a mechanic for help, you can't ask a judge for help, you can't ask a brother for help. إِنَّ اللَّهَ فِي عَوْنِ الْعَبْدِ مَا دَامَ الْعَبْدُ فِي عَوْنِ أَخِيهِ. Or كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, Allah Almighty will continue to help His servant. Allah Ta'ala will continue to give madad, help to His servant, as long as His servant continues to help his brother. Inna Allah fi auni al-abd, ma dama al-abdu, as long as the abd fi auni akhi, he helps his brother. Brother is going through hard times, helps him. Brother's car's broken down, helps him. Brother needs financial help, helps him, gives him some money. Che chalo thodi madad ho jaye nadi. Brother needs assistance. He's got a problem, he can't get out of it. He helps him, assists him. As long as the brother helps the brother, the sister helps the sister. Yani as long as we help one another, Allah Almighty will help us as well. For we're His servants. Allah Almighty said, that very famous saying in our zuban, Himmat-e marda, madad-e khudai. Himmat karo, mehnat karo, madad-e khudai, Allah will give the help. Yani himmat-e marda, mardan ki himmat jari ki cheez hai. What is this? When you help one another, apas mein himmat rakhna. Ek hona hai ki banda zati himmat rakhe. I've got himmat within myself. I've got willpower in myself. Agle vich himmat dalna. Ki yara kari sakna hai, koi gal nahi. Himmat rakh. To help one another. Madam al-abdu fi awni akhihi. As long as you help one another, Allah Almighty will help you. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een. Yes means that Allah Almighty is the ultimate helper. Asal al-madadul hakiki. Hakiki madad Allah Ta'ala ne taraf se hai. Allah gives the help. No doubt, no dispute. But Allah can help through asbab, wasail, zara'i. Allah can help you through means. We mustn't dismiss this. This is why it's very important that we ask ourselves, how are we going to attain contentment in our hearts? At this moment in time, so many people are depressed. So many people feel down, stressed, mental issues. People are thinking, I can't do this. There's no sukoon in my heart. I work 9 hours a day, 12 hours a day. Kar jane, biwi, she doesn't appreciate. Children don't appreciate. What do I do? Of course, every human being, every man who works for his family wants to be appreciated by his family. This is human nature. A simple appreciation that whatever we ask, just do for us. But he feels that he's undervalued, underappreciated. Person has not got shakoon in his heart. I am earning money, but there's no barakat in the money. There's no barakah, there's no blessings inside this money. Money comes, money goes. Why? We have to ask ourselves why. Because when we're working, your working, daily work can become an act of ibadat. When you're working, it can become an act of worship. How? All you have to simply do is make a niyat. Ki, oh Allah, I have set out today to earn for your raza and for your pleasure. I make intention to please you. With this intention of pleasing you, all of a sudden, with this intention, this now the angels will write as an act of ibadah, worship. What is the most important condition in worship? Aham shart kya hai ibadat vich? Niyat. You can stand and say Allahu Akbar, but if you have no niyat in your heart to pray to Allah Almighty, no namaz. You must make niyat. Whether that's niyat with your mouth, verbally, or whether that's niyat inside your heart, fil qalb. But you must make intention. If I, out of adab and respect, I stand in front of Ajisa, for example, adaban nal at, close my hands, and adaban I stand. My head's lowered, my hands are folded, out of adab, for a man of Allah, for a waliullah, an alim of the deen, the ulama, the maulana, out of respect, adaban you stand like this. Are you worshipping him? No. You are simply standing out of respect of him, not out of worship to him. When will this act become an act of worship? Ek niyat naal ke al-iyazu billah ye meri ma'bood hai. This is I'm worshipping. Then it becomes an act of worship because you have niyat inside your heart. This is why it's very important to bear in mind and understand. This is why. This is not when you do it out of adab, out of respect. You don't have the intention. But all of a sudden, if your intention is there, then it becomes. So intention is key for an act becoming an act of worship. When you leave your home with the intention that I'm going to worship Allah Almighty, you make this intention, okay, I'm going to earn today whatever I earn for the sake of Allah Almighty. For your family as well, but for Allah's raza, to please Allah Almighty. A farz ada karna, a bhi ek ibadat hai. बच्चे नू खाना खिलाना, कपड़े पहना, इबादत है ना. This is a farz upon you. एक फर्ज है, एक जिम्मेदारी है. You must fulfill this obligation. And whilst fulfilling this obligation, this becomes an act of worship. And when this becomes an ibadat, because you do it for Allah Almighty's sake, all of a sudden, 8-9 hours of work you've done, in your heart you will find sukoon. Because why? You're doing an act of worship to please Allah. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Your hearts will only be content and satisfied when you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't remember Allah Almighty enough. We only remember Him when we need to remember Him. ذَاكِرِينَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا وَالذَّاكِرَاتِ. Allah Almighty mentioned in the Quran, He said, إِنَّ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ وَالْمُسْلِمِينَ وَالْمُسْلِمَاتِ وَالْقَائِنِينَ وَالْقَائِنَاتِ. And it goes on, سَائِمِينَ وَالسَّائِمَاتِ وَالْحَافِزِينَ وَالْحَافِزَاتِ. Those who protect themselves, protect their privates, those who are believers, those who are male and female Muslims. And then Allah Almighty mentions, وَالذَّاكِرِينَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا وَالذَّاكِرَاتِ. Those who remember Allah abundantly from the men, and those who remember from the females. Allah Almighty says, for them what is there? I have prepared Jannah for them. For them there's the gardens of paradise. Not just dhikrullah. ذَاكِرِينَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. They don't just remember Allah once, twice. They are always remembering Allah Almighty. They stand up, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. They sit down, they remember Allah Almighty. MashaAllah, la quwwata illa billah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. When they hear good news, they say Alhamdulillah. When they hear good news, they say MashaAllah. When they hear good news, they say Subhanallah. When something goes wrong, they say Astaghfirullah, Al-Iyadhu Billah. Yani always remembering Allah Almighty. When they meet a Muslim, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be upon you and the rahmah of Allah be upon you. Yani this man is always remembering Allah in every moment. Fi kulli lamhatin wa heen. In every lamha, every moment, dhikrullah. He's doing dhikr. It's not necessary that he has to have a tasbih in his hand, for example. Without the masbaha, without a tasbih. He's doing dhikr constantly. لا يزال لسانك رطبا من ذكر الله أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. As long as your tongues remain moist with the remembrance of Allah, just do dhikrullah. The more you remember Allah Almighty, the more you'll be satisfied. The more dhikr you do, the more closer you will be to Him. The more dhikr you do, the more Allah Jalla wa Ala will increase barakah inside your life. The more difficulties will disappear. Dhikrullah, ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. It's only your heart. So you see, the heart is a piece of flesh. The heart is a piece of flesh. In every person's body there's a heart. Everyone has a heart. And why is the heart so well mentioned, so regularly mentioned within the Quran and the Sunnah? Inna fil jasadi la mudgha. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, inside the human body there's a piece of flesh. إذا صلحت صلحت البدن أو كما قال. If it becomes salih, if it becomes pure and clean, the entire body will be clean and pure. وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ. The moment that this piece of flesh corrupts, the entire body will become corrupt. Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, what is it? Ma hiya ya Rasulullah? He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Allah. What does Allah mean? Tambih, warning. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, when they said Allah, when Allah says Allah in the Quran, it's to get the attention. Be very careful, listen. Allah. بِذِكْرِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Listen carefully. Only through Allah's remembrance your hearts will be content. You will not get contentment in cars, in material, in dunya. No. The dunya will never satisfy you. You buy a big house, you want a bigger house. You buy a nice car, you want the next nice car. You buy nice garms, you want to buy the next nice garms. Your heart will never be content. You'll never be satisfied. You'll always want more and more and more. How can you have more than what Allah dhikr? Allah dhikr is the intiha. You can't get more than the remembrance of Allah Jalla wa Ala. He subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest. he's the greatest, then what can be greater than his remembrance? ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب ألا وهي القلب. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, listen carefully. That piece of flesh inside your body, if it becomes pure, the body will be pure. If it gets corrupt, the entire body will become corrupt. What is that, Ya Rasulullah? Listen carefully, it's the heart. ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. It's the qalb. It's this piece of flesh. What we allow to enter into the heart. And how? Through our mind, through our eyes, through our ears, what we listen to, what we watch, what we say, our mind, what we think, all of this, where does it resonate? What does it impact and affect the most? The heart. Ala wa hiya al-qalb. It's the heart that does this. And this is why we need to focus on our hearts. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innu al-qulub. Allah Almighty says, you want your heart satisfaction. Sometimes we go out for a meal and the meal is so nice. We think, oh wow, what a beautiful meal. And to an extent that not only is the stomach satisfied, you feel contentment in your heart. I had a great meal today. Any khushi hai, aaj bada sona khana paye, bada mazedar bante aisi ji. Nihari banti si, bade mazedar nihari si. You know, we enjoy it because we feel it. We think nice. But this lazzat and this enjoyment is where? Yani fi qalb. The heart feels this. But what can be more pure than the remembrance of Allah? Nothing. Nothing is more pure than the remembrance of Allah Almighty, and it's only through the remembrance of Allah. bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Your hearts can only be satisfied through the remembrance of Allah. This is why we must turn to Allah dhikr. And the greatest dhikr of Allah Almighty is what? Al-Quranul Kareem. The Quran is the greatest dhikr. Daily we must open the Quran and recite the Quran. Every morning after Salatul Fajr, try to recite Suratul Waqi'ah. Every day recite one Surah Yasin. Every evening after Salatul Isha, before you go to sleep, recite Suratul Mulk. For he who recites Suratul Mulk every single night, he will be saved from the punishments of the grave. Allah will not punish him inside the grave, the one who regularly recites Suratul Mulk. This is why we should get into the habit of reciting these surahs of the Quran. The Quran is what's going to save us. We must go back to the Quran, study the Quran. This is the greatest dhikr of Allah. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Yani ala bi kitabillah tatma'innul qulub. Allah's book is what's going to satisfy you. Sometimes you see a man of Allah who reads the Quran, there's nur on his face. Always he's reading the Quran, there's nur, you can see this light. The words of Allah Almighty purify his heart. It rids the heart of the dirt that it may have. The dhikr of Allah does this. This is the reason, and this is very important for each and every one of us to turn back to Allah and do His dhikr. وأقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم آخر دعوايا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.
لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله جود علينا الله لا إله إلا الله جود علينا